In a quiet part of a small Oregon town, where only a few people walked along the road each afternoon, there lived a large pit bull that almost everyone feared whenever they saw him. His body was heavy, his chest was broad, and his stance looked powerful. Yet behind his frightening appearance was a heart that knew how to love, trust, and show affection to the person he considered family. His name was Bruno. He was enormous, but whenever he was with his owner, he became almost like a little puppy, loving to be petted, leaning against his owner's leg, and becoming excited whenever they played with a ball. His owner, Daniel Carter, a 41-year-old man, lived alone in a modest house with a fenced front yard. Because Daniel had to work every day, Bruno was usually left inside the house. But one morning, Daniel decided to let him stay in the yard while he was at work. The fence was high and strong enough to keep Bruno safely inside. From that day on, Bruno always did something unusual. Whenever Daniel left for work, Bruno did not immediately play. Instead, he would sit beside the front gate and quietly watch the people passing by. Sometimes he stayed there for a long time, following every set of footsteps with his eyes. Until one afternoon, a young woman named Emily, 25, noticed him. She stopped in front of the gate and carefully called to the dog. Instead of barking, Bruno's tail suddenly began to wag. Emily laughed. From then on, their little routine began. Whenever she passed by, she would call Bruno. And whenever he heard her voice, he would rush to the gate, wagging his tail as if they had been friends for years. Emily still did not touch Bruno. His size and powerful appearance made her a little nervous. So one afternoon, she brought out a tennis ball and tossed it over the gate. Bruno immediately chased it. Then, carrying the ball in his mouth, he returned and placed it near Emily. She smiled. They repeated the game again and again until their simple game became part of their daily routine. One day, Daniel saw their friendship on the security camera. When he found Emily standing at the gate, he smiled and told her, "You can come inside. He's very gentle. Don't be afraid of how he looks." From then on, the two played more than just ball. Sometimes Bruno ran around the yard while Emily laughed. Other times, she simply sat beside him and gently stroked his large head. Little by little, Emily's fear disappeared. And Bruno seemed happier than ever because he had found a new friend. But one afternoon, everything changed. As Emily walked toward the gate, a man suddenly appeared and tried to grab her bag. She was startled and held onto it, refusing to let go. Bruno heard the commotion. He stood up. He barked loudly. And for the first time, the people nearby saw just how brave the dog they had always feared could be. Bruno became restless behind the fence. He jumped again and again, trying to get outside, until one attempt finally carried him over the gate. He ran straight toward the man. When the man saw the huge dog coming toward him, he stepped back in fear, but he still held the bag. Bruno moved between the man and Emily, and frightened by the dog's determination, the man finally dropped the bag and ran away. Bruno followed him for a few moments until the bag fell to the ground. Then he stopped, picked it up, and returned to Emily. Emily was trembling as she held her bag. When she looked at Bruno, tears filled her eyes. The dog she had once been afraid to approach had been the one who stood between her and danger. Several witnesses were emotional too. They could hardly believe that the huge, intimidating pit bull had a heart capable of such loyalty and courage. The man was never caught that afternoon, but something else was caught. the wrong belief many people had carried about Bruno. From then on, whenever Bruno sat in his yard, fear was no longer the first thing people saw. Neighbors began calling to him from outside the gate. Some waved, some smiled, and others gently petted him while Bruno happily wagged his tail. Because sometimes, a face does not tell you who is good. And neither size, strength, nor appearance tells you who deserves to be feared. That day, Bruno did more than return a stolen bag. He also returned to the neighborhood a belief that had almost been forgotten, that kindness can live behind the face people fear. From that day forward, Bruno was no longer seen as a threat, but as a loyal friend with a gentle heart. His actions reminded everyone that trust is earned through what we do, not through how we look. Sometimes, the heart of a loyal friend can be far greater than anything the eyes can see. Never judge a person or an animal only by appearance. True goodness is not always visible on the outside. Often, it is revealed through love, loyalty, and courage. If you had judged Bruno only by his appearance, would you still have given him the chance to show you how good his heart really was?